Members and guests, please welcome the 40th Governor of the great state of California, the Honorable Gavin Newsom.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you. You may not be clapping at the end of this, so sit down. You never know. This could take a long time. There's a lot of betting over under. Someone said 2 hours or one. I said, I think one. We're going to be all right. But I want to thank all of you for the generosity of your spirit. I want to thank, Mr. Speaker, you in particular for being a champion, not only for all Californians, but being an extraordinary and courageous leader. And thank you very much for your generosity of welcoming myself and my wife into your house today. To Madam Pro Tem, I thank you for your commitment to, perhaps more than anything else, collaboration, which has just been demonstrable and I think has really helped make this first month together so remarkably productive. And it is a nice thing to say. For the first time ever, I get to say in this chamber, thank you, Madam Lieutenant Governor, for that introduction. Plus it's kind of nice just to acknowledge the Lieutenant Governor, too. It's something that's not always the case. We got to remember our status. And to all the constitutional officers, I want to just thank you for being here today, all the legislators and to all the elected officials that I see up there that traveled across the state to be here. I'm immeasurably grateful and humbled by your presence here today. And just so you're reassured, do not worry, Dutch is not here today. We clearly learned our lesson from the inaugural. I know. Yeah, you're going to be stuck having to pay attention to me this time, which I know is not so easy. Look, just over 4 weeks ago, I stood there in front of this Capitol, and I pledged to defend not just the California Constitution, but I pledged to defend the California dream. And today I want to talk to you about how we can do that together. Look, by every traditional measure, you just heard that, the state of our state is strong. We have that record-breaking surplus. We've added over 3 million jobs since the depth of the recession. We're seeing wages rising. We're in a state with more scientists, more engineers, more Nobel laureates, with more venture capital, more patents emanating than any other part of this country. And we, of course, have the finest system of higher education anywhere in the world. Point of pride. But along with that prosperity and progress, there are problems that have been deferred too long and that threaten to put the California dream out of reach for too many. Look, we face hard decisions that are coming due, and the choices we make will shape our future and the future, quite literally, of millions for decades to come. And this is what I want to talk about today, as frankly and as directly as I can, the tough calls we must make together. And issues like rail, on water, on energy, how we protect our migrants, how we care for our seniors, how we help our homeless, and how, above all else, we tackle the affordability crisis that is coming to define life in this state. I won't pretend to have all the answers. The only way to find them is to, I think, face these issues honestly. I have nothing but respect for Governor Brown and Governor Schwarzenegger's vision. I share it. And there's no doubt that our state's economy and quality of life depend on improving transportation. But let's be real. The current project, as planned, would cost too much and respectfully take too long. There's been too little oversight and not enough transparency. Right now, there simply isn't a path to get from Sacramento to San Diego, let alone from San Francisco to LA. I wish there were. However, we do have the capacity to complete a high-speed rail link between Merced and Bakersfield. Now, I know some critics are going to say, well, that's a train to nowhere. But I think that's wrong, and I think that's offensive. The people of the Central Valley endure the worst air pollution in America and have some of the longest commutes in this state. And they have suffered too many years of neglect from policymakers, respectfully, here in Sacramento. They deserve better. And the high-speed rail project can be part of that. Let's talk about water. We need a fresh approach when it comes to meeting California's massive water challenges. We have a big state, diverse water needs. Cities that need clean drinking water, farms that need irrigation to keep feeding the world, fragile ecosystems that must be protected. Our water supply is becoming less reliable because of climate change, and our population's growing because of a strong economy. That means a lot of demand on an unpredictable supply. There are no easy answers, but let me be as direct about where I stand as I can be. I do not support the water fix as currently configured, meaning I do not support the twin tunnels. We can, however, build on the important work that's already been done. And that's why I do support a single tunnel. The status quo is not an option. We need to protect our water supply from earthquakes, from rising sea levels. We need to preserve delta fisheries, and we need to meet the needs of cities and farms. We have got to get past these old binaries, like farmers versus environmentalists, the north versus south. Our approach can't be either or. It has to be yes and. Conveyance and efficiency, and recycling projects, like the ones we're seeing in Southern California's Met Water District, expanding floodplains in the Central Valley, and groundwater recharge like farmers are already doing in Fresno County. A portfolio approach to building water infrastructure and meeting long-term demand. You know, in a recent survey, came out last week, 61% of young adults in California said they can't afford to live here. 61%. California should never be a place where only the well-off can lead a good life. And it starts with housing, perhaps the most overwhelming challenge we face right now. We all know the problem. We all know the problem. There's too much demand, too little supply. And that is happening in large part because too many cities and counties aren't even planning how to build. Some are flat out refusing to do anything at all. That's why I committed $750 million for a major new incentive package for communities to do the right thing. $250 million in support for cities and counties to update their housing plans, to revamp their zoning process and get more housing entitled. $500 more in grants when they achieve certain milestones. Look, if we want a California for all, we have to build housing for all. The problems we face are as hard as they come, and they're in many cases decades in the making. But I truly believe we have the tools to solve them. We have the technology, we have the know-how, but most importantly, we have the generosity of our people. I don't know how many of you remember that story of that registered nurse up in Paradise who was sitting in traffic trying to escape the fire as flames started to engulf his car. He thought, this is it. And he recorded a goodbye video to his family. And then a miracle occurred. A bulldozer came out of nowhere and cleared the burning cars out of his path. At that point, he could have just driven away as fast as possible. That's what a lot of us would have done. But instead, he turned his car around and he drove straight to the hospital in the middle of the town where he worked in the ICU. He and his colleagues started treating injured people, and then the hospital caught on fire. And he moved patients to the helipad that was 100 yards away as fast as he could. Every single one of them was safely evacuated. And when he was asked why he did this, why he drove back through the fire when he could have just saved himself, he shrugged and he said, "This is what we do." His name is Alan Pierce, and he's here with us today. Alan's right. Taking care of each other, showing courage when it matters most, this is what we do in California. Yes, we have much left to do, but I believe in the remarkable talent assembled here, and I believe in our state, and I know this at the bottom of my heart. The best is yet to come. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you.